This is going to be fantastically fun.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome inside of OUA Today. I am your host, Marshall Ferguson, and I spent my weekend dealing with drain flies. So that was fun. Sitting next to me to my right, Amanda Weldon and Scott Hasty. How are your weekends, guys? The weather's back. It's nice.
Awesome. I chilled in the Badlands. Have you ever been to the Badlands?
I don't know what that is, so please explain.
It sounds super cool though. But
yeah, it does.
These like rolling red hills, they're just like naturally formed. They're like north of Brampton. So cool.
North of Brampton?
Yeah.
The Brampton Badlands? I thought Brampton just was the Badlands.
The Badlands. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they got like super hype after Sci-Fi just like ripped them apart in a couple episodes. I'm not sure what show it was, but
I can't even think of what else would be north of Brampton.
Maybe it was Caledon.
Lakehead University? I don't know.
There's a spot between, you know, in like the old Jurassic Park computer game. I don't know if you ever played this, where you had to like walk around Discover, and the whole map was black, and then every time you would walk somewhere, it would like become light.
We just haven't gone to that part
yet. There's an area between Kitchener and Barrie that's like north of everything that's GTA. I have no clue what's there. Is that where the Badlands are?
It could be the Badlands.
Do they just span for miles and miles?
Yeah. No, that sounds cool, and you have a sweet weekend to do it.
That is cool.
I have a pic. I'll post it to our.
Yeah, please do.
I'll post it to our Twitter. It's pretty cool. Yeah, hopefully you get that reaction when you see it too.
How does the Earth get like that?
Exactly. I don't know.
Glaciers?
Aliens? I don't know.
Welcome to the Glacier Show, brought to you by OUA Today. No, it's how to listen. Go to tunein.com and search. You can search just about anything, but you can search CFMU 93.3 if you would like to hear us. Big news. We're on iTunes. What?
Whoa, nice.
Yeah.
That is big news.
Yeah, we got the podcast up, so now you can listen to us on your drive. You can listen to us when you're in class and you hate your prof. You can listen to us at the gym.
In the shower.
Please don't do that.
It was no.
Deep thoughts.
Like we talked about the OUA show being fantastically enjoyed by everyone. You can watch it anywhere that you want, and now you can listen as well. So we're looking forward to reaching out to a whole new crowd of people. Reach out to us on Twitter as well, at OUA Today, at Marsh2Fergs, at Walden Amanda, at Scott1Hasty. In the next, 55 minutes or so, we're going to talk about Canada basketball, vacations, award shows, Game of Thrones. I didn't watch it. I don't care about it, but if anybody here did, you can let me know. Maybe our first guest can as well. Putting 5 dots at the end of a text. Where do OUA football players come from? Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson is at it again. Cheerleading, OUA athletes of the week, tweets of the week, I should say, and more. But first, I want to bring up our esteemed guest. He of OUA record touchdown passes and writing awesome 42-page documents on how the OUA should improve its crowds, its following, and what it wants to do moving forward to build its brand. Austin Kennedy, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great, Marshall. Glad to be on this morning.
Happy to have you, man. I'm here with Amanda Weldon and Scott Hasty as well, a couple of my McMaster compatriots that we have started up this little radio show, and you are the perfect guy to have on because you are, can I say ex-Windsor Lancers quarterback now? Is that, are you in this?
Unfortunately, I'm quickly fading from the public eye, so.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. We're in the same boat here, Austin. We are very much in the same boat. We're both kind of recently forced into retirement due to the fact that the CFL doesn't think we're cool enough. So now we get to do fun stuff like this. I've gone into broadcasting, and you are doing all sorts of fun stuff. And you wrote this long, tantalizing novel that I ripped into over the weekend about, as I said, growing OUA football crowds. Maybe give us a bit of a synopsis of where it came from, your idea, and what this is all about.
For sure. I wanted to do kind of a study for course credit. It was my last semester in school, so I figured what better subject than the OUA. One of my profs approached me and said, the best thing you could probably do is give them some suggestions, do a little bit of analysis on the current attendance trends and what's going on with the league. I do a lot of stats and things like that for work. I work in the insurance business, and so it kind of fit perfectly together, and I knew how to analyze these things and past trends and everything like that. So I did a lot of kind of quantitative analysis of attendance over the last 4 years, connected that with some research. Most of my research focused on D2 football and their attendance trends, and then tried to, pull out some implications and some recommendations and things. And, I uncovered some pretty interesting information about the league just from going through this over the last semester.
I got to know you pretty well through our playing careers because we kind of had our fates intertwined because the first game I ever started was down in Windsor, which was actually the last time that we played, strangely enough, I believe. Yeah. Because in 2011 we played, 2012 Kyle was the starter, and then 13-14 we didn't get a chance to play each other, which I'm not very happy about, but that's the way the scheduling goes. But anyways, we played together at East-West, and I kind of got the sense from when I played with you at the East-West Bowl that you are very, I want to say you critique your game a lot. Like, you're never very happy with what you do, and you're very hard on yourself. The statistical analysis that you did on this, looking at these things, did you look back at your own kind of quantitative stats when you were playing and critique yourself in the same manner and be as specific and as hard on yourself as you are on the OUA fans?
Yeah, we ran a tight ship offensively when we were trying to game plan, and a lot of that was driven by me. And it wasn't just analyzing our team, but it was analyzing ourselves as well. So, I understand that stats aren't the most important indicator. Obviously, you're looking in the win column to see how successful your team is doing, but at the same time, the stats don't lie. So there's been a couple years and a couple games where you can kind of see that and the problems that we had, and if you look at our turnover ratio, and a lot of times it's due to the picks that I was throwing, you can tell the issues that you're having. So for sure, I used some of this information when I was analyzing film. So we would look at film and basically try and predict plays that defensive would run and things like that. It works against Waterloo and even Western sometimes, where we go against Greg Knox and McMaster. It doesn't work as much because you guys are just running crazy stuff all the time.
Well, yeah, I practiced against him, and I had no idea what he was doing in games. So.
I can imagine. So, for sure, things like this quantitative analysis, like I said, the numbers don't lie, and you can really pull some good information out of it. It's just a matter of having the resources for the data itself, and then obviously the resources to analyze it as well.
Hey, Austin, this is Amanda here. Through reading your article, York and Toronto, you made a really good point. They have one of the largest enrollment rates in the OUA. But with this correlation, as it would go up in the States, it's very different here in Canada, where the numbers of attendance to games is actually lower. Do you think that this is kind of like a correlation between people just finding their own thing, or is it a culture of Toronto? Like, what do they have to do?
Yeah, that's such a tough question, and it's a difficult thing to increase attendance at games. Like, no matter what I tell you, no matter how I tell you the reason is, it's very difficult to achieve. The problem with teams like that, York and Toronto, is that when you look at how attendance should work, and just like you said, in the States, the largest enrollments, the largest schools get the most attendance, the same thing should happen for York and Toronto. And the problem is that's not occurring, so you're kind of leaving numbers on the table. You should assume that there are people who would want to go to these games, but due to a number of factors, they're not doing that. So you could say, football isn't as important of a sport in Toronto. Maybe they're more interested in basketball games or hockey games. And you can look at Toronto Argo attendance compared to Saskatchewan, for example, and there's some distinct discrepancies there, even though Toronto, dwarfs Regina in size. And at the same time, one of the biggest findings of the report was simply the fact that disparity between teams just absolutely kills attendance. Over the past 4 years, the average margin of victory has increased to, I think, about 25 points. So when you have games that are constantly blowouts and teams that constantly can't even break 500, they can't make the playoffs, it has a cumulative effect. And so for teams like that in those big markets to kind of reverse that trend and start getting people to come to their games in the troves that Western and you guys at MAC do, it's a very large challenge, because at the end of the day, the product on the football field is what matters most.
Yeah, and talking about Toronto, I noticed that it was part of your research that showed that they lose attendance throughout the season, along with York and Waterloo. From week 1 to week 4, they by far lose the most of any of the teams throughout the OUA. You said McMaster was the most consistent, which, again, the data just goes to show something that I agree with, which that, we had a little bit up and down attendance, but comparatively to other schools, it really wasn't that much. But regarding that Toronto comment about it just being hard to get people there, we were recently at the CIS Basketball Championships, and it got a good pull, and it was in the right venue and all of that. But when we were there, the conversation around Toronto was always, if it's not Jays, Leafs, and Raps, it's hard to get people out to amateur sport, which I think might hurt U of T more than we realize. But I know, Amanda, you had another question there, so.
Yeah, I was just wondering, where am I here? That was a really good point. I was just kind of sitting on what you were saying there.
It's very difficult. Like you're saying, in those big markets, it's tough, but outside of the big market, you're still getting the same results in Waterloo, which again is not, and any time that something is the big ticket in any arena, it's going to be the pull. You talk about the Riders. That's a great example, Austin, because they're able to pull probably 90% of that population. Green Bay would be another one that would be like the town. The town owns the team. They shut down.
There's nothing else to do on a Friday, Saturday night, right? So they're always going to be at that game.
Yeah, exactly. The Sudbury Wolves are the biggest pull in the OHL up north there, and you see the St. Mike's Majors, and people are like, "Oh, right, we have an OHL team that's surrounding the Toronto region." It's like, yeah, it's the same league, same quality, same great players coming through. So, the other one that I wanted to look at here is much of the data you said analyzed revolved around game attendance, which should be viewed as the most important measure of the league's fan base. I agree with it in the league's fan base, but do you think that the numbers of attendance are what truly define not necessarily the success, but the importance and the relevance of a league?
Definitely not. It's a much more complex picture. I think if you're analyzing this on the impact football has on Ontario culture, the impact each university's football team has on the community, it's a lot more of a complex, intertwined look at things. So, for example, you have your team who's in the community, who's volunteering, who's coaching kids. That has a much larger effect, and it's almost outside of football. But when it comes to the league itself, if it's not a nonprofit, if it's a corporation trying to make money, that corporation's goal is to sell units of their product. And in the case of the OUA, your goal is to sell units of your product, which is tickets at the games for your teams. Obviously, again, there's other things they're going to do, like host the combines for young athletes in high school and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, all that is kind of, to me, and I think to the OUA as well, secondary to their goal of taking their marquee program, which is football, and getting people in the seats.
You talk about stadiums a little bit in your article, and I mean, when I look at a school like Western, I honestly think about the U.S. mentality. I mean, they've won so many venues. They've been there before. They're known as this like heavyweight school that other schools just rival with no matter what, which is another factor you mentioned. On a scale of just student life, I mean, students are a big part of who comes to the games. You were talking about when there aren't students on campus, there's obviously a much lower attendance to the games. Do things like advertising within the athletic facility, beer gardens, swag you can pick up, did you have a chance to look at that at all? Because I know that Western has their beer garden at the end of their stadium, which is a big draw for students to come, because then they're not just at their student house kind of watching online. Sure. But I know that Mac, they used to have theirs there, and then they moved theirs, so you actually can't watch the game while you're there. Right,
yeah. It's interesting the way student attendance works, and some of this is difficult to support with actual research and data, but I think I'm a good...
I know you're right, though. I've been there too. Like we both traveled around the province and seen all the different schools of the OUA, and depending on, again, as you say in your paper here, depending on the time of year, depending on if exams are close, if it's near Thanksgiving, if it's on a weekend, if it's on a weeknight, if it's all of these variables that you include in your research, like what you're about to say is absolutely true.
For sure. And like I said, it might be difficult to represent quantitatively, but just like you said, Marshall, I've been to all the stadiums, and I've played at home in Windsor where our student attendance is considerably low. And then I've been to McMaster. I was there for your Yates Cup game this year and seen the difference both from the inside being in the crowd as well as on the outside looking to the crowd from the stands. And one of the biggest factors and one of the things I've noticed, you have to really compete with a lot of options when it comes to getting students to your games. Yeah. And unfortunately, the state of football in Canada is that it's just not like the States, and it's not the premier place to be on a Saturday. Yeah. Whether they can be at a party or out at a golf course, who knows? It's not like in the States where you got to be at that football game because that's where everyone is. So for schools like you guys in Western who have those huge draws, and there's a whole lot of events, homecoming, for example, is a perfect example of that situation. Students are motivated to go there because everyone's going there, and they want to be part of the crowd. Whereas teams like us, Toronto, York, if all the students aren't going and the vast majority is not interested in the sport, to get everyone else to go, you got to get really, really creative and throw in some promotions. just like you said, Amanda, your beer garden, where your beer tent is, because just saying, oh, well, our team's doing really well, it doesn't work. You need a lot more than that. And again, that's why the challenge is kind of insurmountable, I think, for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to our athletic department. Like, I know they put a lot into it. They have the whole slogan, "We bleed maroon." Like, people are engaged. They just want to be in it. But
oh, yeah.
I had a girlfriend at Waterloo, and she's like, I had never been to a football game once. She said she was walking by the stadium. She heard a couple people cheering. She looked in and she was like, there's a football game going on here.
Well, that's like too, Austin. I don't know if how many times you played at Queens throughout your career, but Queens, whether it's a regular season game, homecoming, regardless, 90% of the stands on the student side before the Richardson Stadium was condemned, and they're getting a nice new one. When it was there, it was 90% full. And then by the end of the first quarter, we used to laugh about it. And I'm a Kingston guy, right? So I used to go to the games, sit on the other side and go, where are they all going? And then they would leave. And it's like we have this weird culture around the OUA where it's like Waterloo was the same thing when I played there this past year or 2 years ago. I forget where it was. Where we were there in the first quarter was like, wow, this is a pretty good crowd. Like, it's not a huge venue, but the stands are packed. There's people all the way around. It's like a bowl setting. And then like end of the second quarter, just based on perhaps the tangible results again. And this goes back to your graph that's included in your report showing the loss from week to week to week throughout the season of some of those teams that struggle throughout the season where they lose interest and they lose, fan following. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying about it varies a lot throughout team to team, conference to conference, but like, let's start looking maybe at what do you think are some possible solutions? Because there's a lot of things that we are aware of because we have unique perspective as both players and covering and analyzing the OUA Football League. What do you think can be done to change some of these results in some of the bigger markets, some of the smaller ones? You know, McMaster's consistent. How can they be more consistent? Just an overall kind of look at how to change this dynamic.
For sure. We kind of alluded to it already, but one of the big factors, the biggest determinant of attendance outside of performance, so outside of how well the team is doing and how they've been doing the past few years, is actually homecoming. So you see spikes. Guelph is the perfect example. Guelph has by far the most up and down attendance throughout the league.
Yeah.
So, for example, the third week of their season, through I believe 2011, 2012, and then even 2014, they had less than 1,000 fans. One year they actually had 322. This is Guelph. This was the Yates Cup last year. In 2013, they scheduled homecoming during the third week of their season, and they got 12,000 people at the stadium. So that's like I don't think it's like a 1,200 or 1,500% increase in attendance.
Was that the biggest variation in your research across all teams?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
That's
crazy.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's all because of homecoming. So, you know, when you kind of analyze that and think about it, the reason is simply that, again, the students don't really care about football. They care about the fact that there's a huge party going on at the stadium, and they want to go attend.
Insta
so kind
photo.
of extracting that. Say that again?
Instagram photo. That's all they want. Red and gold.
Sure.
Here we go.
Yeah, you got it. So, you know, you put the two things together, Marshall. If it's you guys against Waterloo and you're blowing them out at halftime, well, that 12,000 people is probably going to dwindle pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if you guys are playing Guelph at homecoming, that's a pretty exciting game, and that attendance is probably going to stick around for the whole thing. So it's just a matter of figuring out events and promotional activities that can get people in the stadium. A lot of the research I did as well found that that's the biggest thing. When you take the average person who you want to get in your stands, or just the average sample of the population, you don't have diehard football fans, especially of university football. You just got, you know, families, normal students who might know something about football, but not a whole lot. And to get them in the stadium, you got to get really creative. You can have homecoming type events. You know, maybe one of them is a special barbecue night. You're giving away food. You're giving away shirts. You're giving away something. But it has to be something, unfortunately, that's outside of football that's going to motivate all these students and all these people to attend the game.
I'm still pissed that I didn't get one of the Austin Kennedy bobbleheads from Windsor's promotional night. No, it didn't happen. But man, you know what? Actually, in this kind of off topic as always, but Austin, I found an Andy Fantu's Western bobblehead on Kijiji for $10.
Yeah, we've got one of those in our Essex Ravens trophy case.
Oh wow! So you know how awesome it looks.
Oh yeah, it's great. You got the Fantus flakes too. When the riders, they made some corn flakes for Andy Fantus. Shows you how big of a deal you can become in.
From all this, I feel like we have to buy friends.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is like Twitter. Where you $12, 1,000 followers. No, they go away after a month. It's okay.
Follow.
Yeah. And you mentioned Guelph McMaster and saying that if it was say a homecoming, that would be a tantalizing matchup. That would be something interesting to people. Well, you can see McMaster at Guelph this year, September 19th.
Promo.
Or it might be October. Not sure. We'll check. Nope, September 19th.
Yeah. From all of this, did you get to see any broadcast numbers? Because, I mean, when you mention inclement weather, like, people are just, if they're not into football, they're not into football in the rain.
Yeah.
But they might be watching it at home.
Yeah.
Did you see any of that?
I did. I was given some of their TV performance from the Score, as well as their OUA.TV performance over the past year since it was introduced. I think some of that information is a little bit more confidential, but to give you an idea, I remember we would always complain because we didn't have Score games down in Windsor. So we had one against you guys, and we had one in the playoffs against Western.
Yep.
I'd always say, like, why don't we, like, they got to come down here. We're starting to do well. We're making the playoffs every year. We got some exciting players.
Yep.
And then I saw the rankings, the TV ratings, and I said, okay, well, that's clearly why they didn't do it more often.
Yeah, they don't want to go too far. No,
exactly.
They don't want to go too far outside of the GTA.
Yeah.
Because there's people that aren't interested, right? You just lose the bulk proportion of your population when you start broadcasting games way down here. So the OUA.TV numbers, I think that's one of the aspects that my information can kind of help the most for understanding which games should be promoted, because you can look at, which games have this interest outside of attendance and then correlate that to, okay, we're going to really promote, this marquee matchup of McMaster Guelph this week on OUA.TV. So that the numbers are there, but they pale in comparison to attendance. And that's due to the fact that it was the inaugural season for OUA.TV, so that's obviously going to grow as the future goes on. And again, when you kind of look sideways at it, that can be another element of the goal is not just getting attendance, but also really pushing people to TV spots and to the streaming online as well.
Yeah, it's always tough for local stations, like even this big station, to broadcast these TV. Wow, I'm just word vomiting all over the place here.
Sound like Lou Holtz.
I know, but I'm just saying, in amateur sport, you never really know what the outcome's going to be. So if you go travel somewhere and the outcome's not good, you're going to lose people, and you don't have the people who normally watch them as well. And again, it's just safe.
Going back to your statistical analysis of how games have been in the last year or so, there's been a lot of blowouts. So again, people traveling to cover games that were blowouts. I know in 2013 we had two games. One was at Guelph, one was at home against Western. They were both on Sportsnet 360 the first year that Tim and the 360 crew were covering us down here. Western blew us out at home, and then we went to Guelph, rainy game, very limited people in the stands. It rained every score or 360 game that we had. But I should wrap up with you. Thank you for giving us your time. Maybe give us a shout of what you're doing now, other than writing awesome 42-page novels, and what you're looking to do down the road, because we always like to keep tabs on the good guys in the OUA.
Oh, for sure. I don't know if I was one of the good guys, but I can answer the question anyways. I'm finishing the degree after 5 long years. So April 22nd is circled on my calendar as my last undergraduate exam, so I'm excited about that.
That a boy.
I'll be working, just as I said, kind of full-time for the company I'm working for now, and then, probably grad school in the future, but seeing as I'm deep in the thick of exams right now, I don't want to think about that too much.
Yeah, it's all good. We wish you the best of luck on exams, and you are officially the new OUA Today analytics expert. We'll have you back anytime to talk some stats and whatever else you want in the OUA, okay?
Perfect. I love it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.
Didn't apply, but you're hired.
Yeah, OUA Today. This is a volunteer position. You don't have to apply. It's okay. We'll just tell you live on air that you now work for us, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to take the world's shortest break. We're going to come back and do the starting five, and then talk about all sorts of other fun stuff. This is OUA Today on CFMU 93.3.
AMJ Campbell, official mover of the Yates Cup.
Welcome back from the world's shortest break. That was 6 seconds of fun. I'm glad we got our advertising in. I really met the budget.
And we're back.
You're listening to 933 B-roll, and we're back. Welcome back inside the show, everyone. I'm going to do the starting five right now. Nipissing Lakers basketball. Saw a cool tweet from Chris Chang, the coach up there. He sent out a really neat picture that I retweeted. I will send it out again from OUA Today, and you can check it out if you're listening to this on the podcast as well. It'll be on our Twitter account at OUA Today. It says, I wanted to offer our sincere appreciation as a program for your unwavering support in our inaugural season. We've been through some tough times, but we have also had some memorable moments. Our student athletes fought the entire way despite our woes, and they will continue to fight
they win a game?
as we move forward with our program. I am not sure.
The 555 dot at the end of that statement.
Oh yeah, no, that was, the 5 dot is coming up. Don't worry. We got a little note on the 5 dot for you. But yeah, he is, I think that's a good tweet. I mean, there's going to be growing pains with any program, Scott, whether it's basketball, football. We just talked with Austin about it, so.
I have some high hopes for Jacksonville coming up in the next few seasons, okay?
Yeah.
Are you saying that like I thought like Nipissing was going to break here and, kick tail or what? Cause I was definitely not.
No.
I thought if any school coming into a CIS would have a chance at immediate competition, it would probably be Algoma. And they didn't, and they had an established program there, albeit from the OCAA.
Yeah.
But, so starting a program off the ground, it's good. And hopefully, I think there's community support up there. So that's really nice.
Yeah, well, again,
that's a good thing to have.
Some of these smaller schools in the OUA, when you talk about Laurentian, Lakehead, some of these places up north, they have communities that surround them, and I always assumed that because I was like, hey, again, big, even if you're the big fish in the small pond, then you're still the
only game
right?
in town.
Yeah, so you might as well go, and I assumed that, but then when we did the OUA Today bracket, sure enough, some of the smaller schools had the most support. Western didn't even get Kelly Campbell through the first round of our OUA Today bracket, which, by the way, the Charlton at Carleton wrote a article on the OUA Today bracket.
The Charlton at Carleton wrote an article.
Yeah, they wrote
because it's dire for content, man.
Hey,
it's really tough.
Don't crush my dreams, okay? OUA Today bracket went awesome. So we wanted to make sure that we got that in. The McMaster Block Party. Amanda, in 20 seconds, tell us how cold and rainy it was.
McMaster Block Party went super well. Alumni handing out free ponchos. Churros. Actually, it went really, really well. We bought these amazing lights. We were going to have them. We put a down payment on firecrackers.
There we
I'm pretty sure they're gonna be just throwing firecrackers at kids.
Go out into the middle of the lawn and campus, throwing at each other.
It sucks that they couldn't turn on the...
I'm just imagining kids running around with Roman candles, like pointing them at each other in the middle of a campus lawn.
Calling out Harry Potter spells.
But yeah, it sucks that they couldn't use the rides because that would have added an extra light factor.
It's okay. It's gonna be back. It's gonna be better.
You know what? There were a lot of people there.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
It's a great idea. It's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Look forward to it being successful in the future. Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson, who you might remember him from an earlier episode of OU.
Sorry.
Amanda has a strong hate for the mayor of Ottawa.
Just rude.
Just rude. You might remember him from an earlier episode of OUA Today where we talked about him after the CIS basketball championships. At Jim Watson Ottawa on Twitter. He's the mayor of Ottawa. He's a Carleton graduate. He tweeted saying, good luck to the U Ottawa GGs and the Carleton Ravens in today's
CIA?
CIA? No, it's the CIS championships. Thanks. You might have thought it was the CIAU or whatever it used to be, but it's the CIS championships, Jim. That's okay. Who do you think will win and by how many points? I say Ravens by 12. You're the mayor of the city. You have people from both sides. I get that you're a Carleton grad, but...
The way he started that tweet was so right. The way he ended it was so wrong.
Politically correct. There's a reason they call it politically correct when you're a politician, not being like, I choose the Ravens. Which is basically what he did. Well, now he is back on Twitter. He is an active man on his Twitter machine. At Jim Watson Ottawa. Hey, at John Tory, who, if you don't know, now you know, is the mayor of Toronto, who replaced the unreplaceable Rob Ford. But it's okay. Rob moved on to the Hockey Hall of Fame selection committee or whatever the heck he moved on to. Jim Watson said, isn't it great that all Canadian NHL teams are in the playoffs? Oh wait, sorry!
He tweeted that at John Tory.
Big time.
This is like the high school hallway and he just showed John Tory in the locker.
Grow up, Jim.
Well, this is where we are. It's just cool to be in the playoffs. Like, Canadian hockey teams aren't like, oh, we're Stanley Cup contenders. We're like, we're in the playoffs.
You know what sucks though?
Like, come on.
There's 5 Canadian NHL teams in. Ottawa, Montreal plays, Vancouver, Calgary plays.
Yeah.
In the opening rounds. That sucks. I mean, that's cool. That's great and it's the pros and cons, right? There's the ups and downs of having teams that play each other for driving ratings in the first round, but would it be better in the second round? I don't know.
What if they all lose? I mean, it's unlikely. Like before, when it was like 3,
It also guarantees we have 2 Canadian teams into the final 8.
so that's
right?
really
Which
nice.
is a positive.
And one of those teams will be like a huge storyline, right? Like one of those teams will be like, oh man, like they came back from
the
something
Sedins
down,
drive
or
into
like,
the playoffs. Or maybe Calgary fights through with Johnny Hockey. Like there's no matter what you do, just based on the fact that they're going to win.
There will be a
story.
storyline based off them winning. So
the Sens' incredible run, Montreal with Carey Price. It'll all be whoever wins. Doesn't matter.
And I'm happy because Sportsnet, they need the ratings, right?
Why as Canadians, answer me this, do we cheer for Canadian teams?
I don't think we do. I don't know.
I think we do. I think Leafs Habs might be the only one, and maybe Flames Oilers. Outside of that, I think people would rather see the Vancouver Canucks win if you're from Edmonton than they would to see the Minnesota Wild win. Like the LA Kings had more Canadians than anybody else on their roster a couple of years ago, and everybody was cheering for who was playing them. It might have been Vancouver in the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Yeah, Vancouver." It's like, no, Vancouver is primarily European, and the LA Kings are stacked with the best in Canadian talent: Drew Doughty, Carter Richards, all that. But like people brought that up on broadcast, and I was just like, "Yeah, it's very true."
Yeah, the question, "Who is Canada's team?" is dumb, but it gets written every year.
It's clearly the Leafs.
Yeah.
Bozak, Kessel.
Oh yeah.
McNeil. 5 goals against London a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
big time. That was pretty good. Alright, that was Jim Watson. We hate him, so don't ever call into the show, Jim. OVFL Prospects game I went out and saw on Saturday. It's kind of the future of OUA football. Could see a bunch of those guys play. They are the best kind of grade 10 and 11 students that are coming up. MVP of the game was Brampton running back Javante Stanley, so watch for him coming up into the OUA ranks soon. All the scouts were there from all the OUA teams. I interviewed Kyle Quinlan afterwards, after the game as well, and talked to him a little bit about the whole experience and the fact that he is a CIS coach and he also coaches in the OVFL for the Hamilton Ironmen. He's the head coach of their varsity program. So, kind of a cool look into the future of I'm jumping ahead of myself, OVFL football. And my last one on the starting 5, the OHL draft was Saturday. Our friend Neat Sager from Yahoo Sports was just retweeting everything.
Yeah.
I damn near had to unfollow the man.
Yeah, it's that time of year, right?
Yeah, like it was a big day. There was over 300 guys that joined the OHL family, and no Americans taken in the second round of the OHL draft. So again, talking about Canada's team, the OHL is very...
They have import rules?
I could not answer that if you put a gun to my head.
Well,
and it was loaded with silly string.
I'll put this away.
Okay. please do. Just under half of Guelph men's hockey team from this past year played in the OHL. If you want to get a sense for why we're bringing this up randomly, it's because guys from the OHL tend to make their way to the OUA because there is an agreement where with the CIS, I believe, the academic program where if you go to school in a city that plays, there's a team in the OHL, then you can get your academics covered a little bit. So it's a good program, and there's a lot of guys that end up playing OUA hockey, which we saw this year was unreal. Mm-hmm. I've loved watching some of the games this spring through the playoffs, and Guelph went on an incredible run with a bunch of those ex-OHL guys. And my last little bit on the OHL draft, I wanted to tell a story here because I tweeted it out, but if anybody didn't hear, it was kind of fun. I went to high school with Taylor Hall, for those of you that don't know. I mentioned this once to a McMaster women's hockey player, and they were like, "Oh my god, introduce me." I was like, "No, it's okay. I know him pretty well, so you don't need to." But we were doing.
You know him too well.
Yeah, exactly. We were doing a high school. Is it drama or drama? How do you guys want to say it?
Drama.
This is always a point of contention.
Put your Kingston draw on it.
Okay, drama. Yeah. We were in grade 10 drama at Frontenac Secondary School in Kingston. I was doing a group project with Taylor where we were expected to do kind of a pantomime, like the lights turn on, the lights turn off, and you're in a different position. Lights turn on, lights turn off.
A little tableau.
Yeah, that's what it is. Tableau.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Jeez, this is a culture podcast.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Pretty much Frasier right
we're
now.
a podcast now, aren't we? Yeah, true. Frasier. Frasier Caldwell, our boy, Broadcaster Athletics. He'll be firing a tweet at us in about 6 seconds. Consistent listener. He might be the only person who tunes in every morning.
Respect.
Yeah, love you.
My parents don't even know I do.
Love you. On the very first show, I was like, "Hey, don't unbutton that shirt." You're like, "My mom's gonna watch this." I remember that. But anyway, so Taylor Hall, he's in my group. We're doing tableaus, and we're supposed to do it to Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. So we're doing the project. It's like over a week and a half probably because it's high school and high school drama teacher will just extend projects so they can sit there and do nothing. Yeah. So anyways,
shout out to them.
He's in I love my high school drama teachers, but the reality is now that I'm older, I look back at it, I'm like, I don't think we need a week and a half for that. Like when you get put in university, you're like, I probably could have done that in a very short period of time. But they basically decided to put us into groups. Taylor's in my group, and he's really good. He's working really hard for an extended period of time. Then all of a sudden, on the Monday after the OHL draft, which I knew was the OHL draft because we knew him, we knew how good of a player he was, he just stopped working. He just, like, didn't talk to anyone, sat against the wall, was on his cell phone the whole time, just wanted nothing to do with us. The teacher in the room came over and said, like, Taylor, put your phone away. And he's like, no, sorry, I can't, man. And then he says, what do you think gives you the right to talk to me like this? High school teacher walks over to Taylor, gets really angry, jumps up from behind his desk, goes and talks to him. Taylor just goes, I just got drafted 2nd overall in the OHL draft. The only reason I didn't go first Erie is because I told him I didn't want to play there. And the teacher just turned around, walked back to his desk, sat down. Taylor didn't have to do a thing.
He just says, friends and family tickets still?
Yeah, maybe like, oh, that's great. How far away did you get drafted? Is it Windsor? I can do that draft. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you can give me tickets. But, so he was a funny guy to go to school with, though. I remember, too, one time throwing a football around out back of Frontenac with one of my buddies. It was one of my receivers, and Taylor walked by, and somebody chirped him, and he told the guy that he had more goals than the guy has minutes in Junior A or something like that. Just typical hockey stuff.
It's always good to have a good rip, right?
But I feel like that was just like in the pocket. Like Taylor's like, oh, a guy ripped on me? Okay, line 17, section 4.
Yeah.
And just pulled it up anyways. But there's your starting 5 and a Taylor Hall story, so I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be right back after another one of the world's shortest breaks because we try to maximize the content for you here on CFMU 93.3.
Time. It lets us plan to dream, plan to learn, plan to succeed, plan to invest, plan to enjoy, plan to help, plan to leave to others. The Plan by Investors Group, helping you provide for the people you care about, now and over time.
I just want to be the drummer to this.
Oh, this is my alarm.
The ball is tipped.
There you are. You're running for your life.
I feel like it's a shame to talk over Luther Vandross.
And all the years, no one knows just how hard you worked. But now it shows.
One shining moment is, of course, the famous song at the end of the NCAA tournament.
That song, like, is just a really good encapsulation of how out of touch the NCAA is.
I know.
Where they're like, this needs to be the song we play at the end of our tournament.
But
like,
it's classic. It's tradition now.
Do they have
it's the
it,
10-year anniversary of it
but
this year. Here's my thing.
It's the 10-year tradition?
Yeah.
So you're saying 10 years ago, this is what
Was
someone
it?
would have been like, oh, this is good.
That's true.
Yeah.
How fast I forget. I'm out of touch with everything. The thing that I find funniest about it is the lyrics at the start. He's like, you've worked so hard for years. No one's seen you, but now they do. Something like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
Like
the
that?
lyrics
It's
should
the
just be,
NCAA.
you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
We're making money off
Oh, yeah.
you.
I could
But
see
that's-
College Humor or something like that.
Yeah.
But that
Just
song
a
in the
remake?
moment is sponsored.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
This song's sponsored
You know
by
what I
Cola.
love?
It
Really?
must be. It
Yeah.
must
Oh,
be.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. In the John Oliver
Oh.
clip when he talked about the ladders.
That was hilarious.
Oh my god. They're like, and I saw a tweet from somebody after the game said they're climbing the Werner ladders. If you haven't looked at it, find John Oliver's NCAA commentary.
Oh.
He basically says
Yeah.
everything is sponsored in the NCAA tournament. Which again, somebody wrote an article, was it Julian from Concordia that wrote the article about the NCAA is not the CIS and that's a good thing?
The guy from
whatever
Ryerson.
your competition is, and
Yeah.
Sportsnet you've recruited. Vote for Scott. We want him to win lots of money and stay in school. But so he wrote this article and, well, we'll pub that more in the next week or so. But
no worries. No worries.
he wrote the article on that, and the fact is, like, the CIS championships, minimal sponsorship, some stuff on the floor all over the place. Not very much, but the NCAA, everything is sponsored, including the ladders. They're sponsored by Werner, which I didn't know was a thing.
The official ladder.
Yeah, the official ladder.
And
of
now
the,
you do,
and now
so
they're
apparently
climbing.
it works.
Now they're climbing the Werner ladders.
But you
and-
couldn't name a
No.
ladder before that.
No.
I'm a DeWalt man, like
He's
like
like,
John,
yes.
like John Oliver. I am a DeWalt man. But one shining moment. And the other thing is, you couldn't find it because it was restricted outside of the United States until it ended up on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
On the YouTube.
Which was BS because why are they protecting it when they know it's going to end up on YouTube? Why not share it? And I hate the NCAA so much. I love you, CIS.
Sorry, you can't turn your radio down there.
Yeah, no.
Marshall just got really passionate.
One shining moment just brings the best out of all of us. That's what it is. Gary Jeffries, who used to be the football coach at the University of Laurier Golden Hawks, the Laurier, I don't even know, Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawks. He was a coach at McMaster as well, and on Facebook this week, because I'm Facebook buds with Gary, he said, if Coach K keeps this up, we'll be talking about him in the same sentence with Coach Smart of Carleton. Love it.
Big.
Love it, Gary. But then he also included 5 dots at the end. And if you include 5 dots as a rule moving forward on this show, I'm going to have to play this clip.
5 dots, Daryl? Are you kidding me? Okay, because 3 dots means to be continued. 4 dots is a typo, but 5 dots means, whoa, do not make me say what I want to say, baby. But if I did, it would blow your mind. Dot.
Which is very true.
It's so true.
4 dots is a typo.
Whenever someone
You're either doing 7 or you're doing 2.
Whenever someone puts an excessive amount of dots, I think they're like up to something.
Yeah.
Like they've got secrets in their hair and they're not telling us.
Well said. Quick Amos Connolly story as well. Coach of McMaster basketball, he told me this week about the NCAA basketball championship was that he basically, his son was watching the game cheering for Wisconsin. So he took a picture of him at halftime, super happy. He took a picture of him at the end of the game, bawling. Like just like exploding out of his face. And I said to him when he showed me the picture, I laughed and said, that was me, the Music City Miracle. Because I was such a big Bills and Doug Flutie fan growing up. I was like, when the Music City Miracle happened with the Bills against the Tennessee Titans, when they threw the lateral that wasn't a lateral, and I'm still angry about it. I was that little kid. I forget how old would I have been. It's kind of weird, probably. I was 7, I think. I don't know, 98, I think. I don't know. Anyways, I bawled. I was pissed. Like, and it's one of those things where you're irrationally angry, and every person who goes on to love sports lifelong has that moment where you're irrationally angry about something at a young age. Like, did you guys have a moment?
That was me the other week when Jimmy Graham traded. I'm not going to say I wasn't young, but I was upset.
I can't remember one. I can't remember specifically upset.
No,
I can't. I know the end of this Raptors season.
You're a writer. You just look at everything.
Out. Yeah.
Objective.
More a long view. Yeah, that's my.
I just get fired up about nothing. So that day.
If I'm watching a Raptors game at the end of this season, then yeah, like probably.
How great is Hansbrough been?
That Lou Williams shot against Detroit. No, but the same shot, but against Detroit, he missed it, and we were all like, I was really that was my like. I haven't been that angry in a while.
Was that one of the low points? That was the opposite of Bruno coming in against the Bucks early in the season?
Yeah, that was definitely the best part of the year.
And he got in at Orlando or Miami the other night, end of the game.
I don't know, but the Lakers, when he went against the Lakers, I think, and he like dribbled it off his own foot and he looked like he lost the NBA Finals. Like, man, I love you, Bruno.
Anyways, so his son is cheering for Wisconsin, takes a picture, and I said, that's okay. Every kid has that irrational anger story when you look back on it in 10 years and like, that's really weird that I felt that emotional at that age about it, but that kind of shows the passion that we all grow up in.
Especially because it's like Wisconsin. He definitely just chose no connection because of a color.
Yeah, color or like I love the mascot or anything like that. So anyways, and then I said, that's okay. He's going to have that. It's going to move on. And Amos said, yeah, I had that experience too. So I think this is his moment. I'm pretty sure this is like what he's going to look back on. I said, that's fantastic. At least he had it. And now he can move forward from it and become a man and grow up and stuff. Apparently the next morning at breakfast, Coach Connolly here at McMaster basketball, his son was just shaking, like just still anger from the night before at the basketball game. So he's so angry. He's sitting there and coach is just like, buddy, like, you gotta relax. It's okay. And then he's just like, I'm so angry about last night. He's just like tearing up again. And he's like, listen, because Amos had somebody in his family who had a health procedure done at Duke, which helped keep him healthy for a longer period of time. So he's like, listen, you are allowed to be upset with last night. That's okay. That's natural. You're going to cheer for team. That's cool. But you can't hate Duke. Okay. Because they kept blah, blah, blah healthy for a longer period of time. And that means that, like, you should be thankful to the people at Duke and you should appreciate them and all this stuff. And apparently it was just like 30 seconds of silence. And then Coach Cully's son just went, I want to hate Duke so much, but I can't.
I imagine that kid's inside his head. Like, does he picture, like, the whole basketball team helping his, like, family members?
Yeah. He's created this, like, image of, like, oh man, they cut down the nets, but, like, 2 weeks ago they were doing like surgery or something.
Yeah.
They were doctors.
It almost would have been better if he was like, oh, I love Duke. just flip on a dime and like go out and buy the Duke Championship DVD and a Werner ladder. And,
Name his dog Duke.
yeah, exactly. All right, so that's kind of tee up from that. Canada basketball, we're not going to have time for our full Canada basketball chat, so we'll include that next week. Scott, you going to be here next week? Oh,
no, I have to go back to Whitby to...
Okay.
Well, no, I'll be back.
We'll call you. It's fine. Roy Rana and what was it, the Nike Hoop Summit?
Yeah, Nike World Hoops.
Yeah, Nike World Hoop Summit. They played in Portland, Oregon, and Jamal Murray, who's a Kitchener native, Orangeville Athletes Institute, had 30 points, and Team World beat Team USA 103-101 this past weekend. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Roy Rana, who's the Ryerson men's head coach, for those that don't know, we covered him a lot at the OUA Wilson Cup and the CIS Championships as well that were hosted at Ryerson. Really good coach, involved with Team Canada on a variety of levels.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray last year, he played in this event and he played well. But also Jamal Murray played at World Championships and played really well. At the U17 World Championships last year in Dubai.
Yeah.
And he averaged like 15 points to lead the team and was like, I watched all those games. He was a really solid player. So right now he's on the upswing. That I saw a lot of tweets from people and he kind of turned some heads and there were a lot of guys in that. I think people kind of forget.
Yeah.
If they see that and they don't see the roster, I recommend looking it up. Thon Maker was there. He played, but not as much. Ben Simmons had a really good game. The Australian future number 1 pick pretty much. So,
yeah.
But for Jamal Murray to have 30 points and play very well on that stage is nothing but, nothing other than a great sign for his future and Canada basketball's future.
The one beef that I have, and he played great, and I was actually able to watch the game, online. There was a bit of a stream that I saw on Saturday, was it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Was able to watch him a little bit. Great player and all that. He's actually playing with Thon Maker and some of the other best at the BioSteel All-Canadian game, which is this Tuesday.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
I put in a press cred for it.
Oh, yeah.
Denied.
Oh, really?
I just haven't heard back yet, so I assume by now, because the game is tomorrow night. You think you would have heard back yet, but like, I'm just trying to cover it to ask guys about the difference between
I'll be there.
NCAA and CIS. Yeah. Maybe just do the old walk around upstairs and drop
I'm working.
Are
working.
you?
Yeah.
Are you writing?
No, I'm just working it. Starting a bit early.
Okay.
Starting the gig a bit early.
Yeah,
so,
I gotcha. Good stuff. That's awesome. No, it's going to be an entertaining evening. Like ton. They're just going to throw a bunch of talent on the court and go, let's see what we got, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with Thon Maker because he's like a 7-foot guy with perimeter abilities. But
triple team.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. And Jamal Murray will be playing in that. So
and it's at Ryerson Tuesday evening. Tickets are on sale. They're like $7. So so if you
Ryerson's great. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, that venue
awesome
where it's going to be is fantastic. So if you love Canadian basketball, get down.
It's not hard to get to.
No, it's very easy. Like we take the GO bus from Hamilton in, and then you walk 10 minutes.
Yep.
And you're at Ryerson, right?
It's so easy.
Walking the streets of Toronto with Scott Hasty. That could be a podcast on its own.
Down the 6 with your woes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the Kyle Lowry video of him and his son?
Yeah,
that was
so
awesome.
Good.
Talk about that. There was Kyle Lowry had his son. His son's tiny. He's super adorable. Last year he was at the press conference when they lost Game 7 and he was cheering his dad up and all that. And he's basically just climbed on top of him. And then Kyle was like playing with his phone. Shot a video where his son just goes, walking through the cities with my woes. Yeah, you know how that thing goes. Kyle just loses his mind laughing, but
and then Kyle Lowry will hashtag everything in his. It's amazing. His hashtags are so like they're at least like 30 characters.
How long do you think Kyle Lowry had that picture of all the white T-shirts surrounding ACC saying, "Hey, we secured home court. Really excited to be able to share a home playoff series with you guys." Saved in his drafts on Twitter.
Oh,
because he sent it out after they won. The other night, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that's been sitting there for a while.
Yeah.
For sure.
The road trip. It's freedom. It's exploration. It's about new experiences. This road trip has been brought to you by Pioneer Bonus Bucks.
It's all good. All right, let's move on to exam stress relief tips with Amanda. I wanted to pull up some relaxing music. Maybe I'll find some here. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Amanda, I wanted to give you your piece because there's a lot of students right now, varsity athletes and otherwise, that we're going to be listening to this podcast now that we're on iTunes.
Better be.
And prepping for exams, and they can relax and unwind a little bit.
So we're in exam time right now, and one of the most important things when you're in exams, just sitting in the library a lot, blood's building up in those legs, you got to get active, get out there, play a game. Hopefully something active like squash or pickup volleyball. That's always going on at local gyms at universities. Or you could even take a break at a local coffee place and play a board game with a couple friends. Something that I found that was kind of interesting about confidence is just fixing your posture. Even when you're going into a job interview or you're in an argument or you're in an exam, if you fix your posture and you have more of a power pose, nothing crossed, nothing closed off in your body, you're automatically going to approach that situation with more confidence, which is pretty interesting.
I think that goes for a lot. People always talk about right before you go into a job interview.
Yeah.
Like going into a stall and like sitting up straight and smiling for 5 minutes straight, which is psychotic.
And you're supposed to spread your arms out.
Yeah, so you feel larger and you feel more in charge. And when you walk into the room, you like own the room and stuff. There's a lot of like crazy psychological tricks to making yourself more confident.
If you're watching this podcast right now, check out Marshall and I's power pose.
Yeah.
Power pose.
As you can notice.
All right, 1, 2, 3, power pose.
My posture during this radio show is impeccable.
Yeah.
I end up sitting like this for the majority of it.
Your nose is just holding your whole body up.
My nose is actually talking through the mic.
Okay, and just like right now, laughter is always the best medicine. So while you are studying, maybe we will post a couple of funny clips that you can share with your friends, because having that little point to laugh is always good. Do something that rewards all of your work at the end of the day. Maybe say you're going to watch your favorite show at the end of the day, you're going to call up your friend, you're going to call your mom. I don't know, a lot of mama's boys out there. You're going to go to Yorgotese.
Shout out to the mama's boys.
That's a reward for you.
Or watch Drake make out with Madonna, because he did that last night.
That can be in the funny video and the rewarding section of this thing.
How do you tie that into this conversation?
It's funny. I had to give the shout out.
No, I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying
it's funny.
Or
watch. Have you guys seen that video of the guy from Newfoundland, the junior hockey heckler?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
If the young boys can't handle it, they should stick to tiddlywinks
and PlayStation. You have to watch it. We have to link to it.
Yeah.
It has to be on the soundboard.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put the tiddlywinks. Whoa, relax
Okay.
the music.
Get in a routine. Schedule when your studying time is. If you have like a bazillion exams in one day, but the university is saying, no, you can't, you can handle that.
Yep.
You got to schedule.
Which happens way
hours.
too often, by the way.
It does. I remember having an exam at night, an exam in the morning, and an exam that later afternoon.
Yeah, but
and
you're
they
smart.
were like, no.
That's unrealistic compared to Scott. No.
Well, yeah, that's why I have Thursday at 7, 2 the next day, 9 on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And people were like, I was like, yeah, I can't get that switched by the university. And everyone I've talked to is like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to. And I was like, that's the tightest possible window I could have with having it on 3 separate days.
After all of that, I picture myself walking out of the gym, just falling to my knees and then falling asleep on the tarmac and hoping
I don't care if it's a 9 o'clock exam. I'm having a beer when I go home.
BioSteel just approved.
Oh, yeah.
The media
look,
cred.
hey, man, look, I'm telling you. I'm a big deal.
Good stuff.
I can make it happen.
All right. These guys are just messing up my segment so hard right now.
Sorry.
No,
I got you music.
We're definitely contributing.
You're contributing.
Trying to make the people relax.
Give social media time out, but not our podcasts.
Yeah, true.
Or our Twitter account.
So give social media time out, because when you get all these notifications, it gives you like a sense of urgency and you get stressed. You don't want to get stress rashes on your body before an exam.
Stress.
Are those real things?
I don't know.
If you have stress,
I'm gonna look into it.
I created it. People are like, "Oh, I got stress. I got a stress rash."
If you have a stress rash, maybe go to the campus health center and make sure it's stress related.
I heard this on a podcast.
As well, get some sleep. Adriana Huffington, one of her biggest things in the entire world is get sleep.
Okay, who is that?
Adriana Huffington?
Huffington Post.
Is that one person?
That's who we're taking our advice.
She's our
now.
sleep expert?
Yeah, she's freaking successful. I'm going to take my
What did she
advice
do?
from her.
She started.
How'd she make her money?
She started the Huffington Post. What do you mean?
But you have to have money in order to start the Huffington Post.
All right, get active, get sleep, eat food.
How many hours?
Eat right.
What food?
Eat right. Don't eat pizza every night.
Whoa.
That's like a poem you can take.
Yeah,
eat fresh. Subway.
Yeah.
Solicit
No,
for
I did read
companies
that.
They do not
Don't
give us money.
don't eat fast food during
No.
the break. Only if you like finish something.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it'll
And you
mess
should
with you.
snack like all day. And
Yeah,
try-
you're supposed to
try
have
not
8 to
Goldfish
give-
crackers.
8 to 10 small meals.
Almonds,
Don't have
goldfish
goldfish crackers.
crackers.
Don't listen to Scott's diet. How many
Why?
how many hours of sleep a
Oh.
night should you be having?
At least 8
At least what? At least 8.
or 8.
I feel like that's counterproductive.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
No.
I feel like anywhere 6 to 8 is like perfect.
So what was your study habit? Like when you were studying for exams, what was a typical day like?
See, I did not follow this list. I was like, God,
Marshall, did you follow this?
Scotch tape with my eyes open.
It varies.
Okay. I don't go past 6. There's not a chance.
You don't go
in-
past 6?
No.
6 hours of sleep?
Do you know what I
6
used to
6
do?
p.m. I would not study past 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Good
I'm
for you. Put in your 9 to 5. You go home. You have a
I've
beer,
always
and you're
treated
out.
it. I've treated it like a 9 to 5 for so
it.
long.
That's
but
awesome.
then because I'm like I'm gonna be distracted anyways because I'm gonna want to watch something.
Yeah.
And so I said, all right, I'll work from 9 to 6 pretty much. Take an hour break for lunch.
Punch out.
Punch out. That's
Take
it.
the bus home.
Yeah.
You know that one like YouTube clip of the motivational speaker that's like,
The guy in his car?
no, he's talking about like a
Send me that
Buddha who takes him underwater when he's like, when you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, that is when you'll be successful.
Are you talking about the one?
Are you talking
it's
about-
so weird, and the guy's like on the beach at some point.
Yeah,
I know
and
that
then he-
that was a really popular one.
And
yeah.
then he talks about
Oh,
Beyonce
okay.
and she's like, she forgot to eat. And I'm like, well, that's not.
You know who my
okay.
favorite motivational speaker is? University of Alabama strength and conditioning guy.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Red Lightning or whatever?
Oh, you couldn't
I
hear it.
used to listen to that while I was studying. Like,
The
so that I didn't
motivational
fall asleep.
speech?
Yeah.
I know people
Oh,
that listen.
geez.
I know
See,
people
that's-
that listen to Mozart as well while they're studying.
Yeah, classical music is my stuff.
Is that really a thing?
I heard a
Yeah.
study about that, and it's more like what you're into. Like, if you like listening to Mozart and studying, it'll keep you engaged. But if you're not like totally into it, then it
Yeah.
actually has no benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's good because it doesn't have any.
What are the pros and
Yeah, you
cons?
force yourself to this music that you hate.
Yeah, you're
But
not.
you
just
can
gonna hate your
tolerate
hate, yeah.
it. I just couldn't do the lyrics. That's always my thing.
Yeah, no lyrics.
Pros and cons of listening to Blink 182 while you study.
Pros, a lot of them. The songs are good.
Pros, nothing specific,
Cons,
but a lot.
few.
Triple.
Cons,
Bleeding eardrums and no work done.
oh, you don't like them, eh?
No, I love Blink 182. I'm just saying
Oh.
if you're listening to loud, crazy punk music, what are the
I think you would just be in like.
we need to get Austin back to do the analytics of music
Yeah.
for studying.
Austin?
But I don't think Blink-182 would inspire you to do studying because it would just make you think of a
It would
more
make you wanna-
positive time. Like I would hear some of the songs and be like, "Yo, that's a karaoke jam."
I'd want to
Yeah,
like
that's
jump
true.
around and lose my shoes or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah. When
Last thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was.
Last thing, get out in nature or like study by a plant because I know that sounds silly, but it calms you a lot. Maybe make
Okay.
a little succulent
Yep.
garden.
I will recommend McMaster students. Coots Paradise is great.
Yep.
But I do not trust the geese there right now. Seriously, I went to
Yeah.
Sassafras Point, and these guys were
These
they
guys?
were coming up. There was three.
While
There were
they-
three geese
Yeah.
coming up on the shore, like walking towards
The Walking Dead coming out of the water, zombies.
So I don't know what it is, man.
They actually called campus security last year, not to make this McMaster centric, but because they were pecking people. Canadian geese were just walking up
in
and
front of
chomping on
our
people's legs.
library. So yeah, I know we talk a lot about McMaster, and it's a great place, but it's not when it's geese season.
It's a great place, but it's not.
At my friend's
the
work,
geese
this
have ruined
one goose like built a nest right outside, like
Really?
next to her parking spot, so she can't park there anymore.
Yeah.
because it like hit someone and knocked them over.
Yeah, when I was riding a bike to work, a goose would fly. He started to fly at me because its chicks were around.
Let's be real though. There's worse things. Like if you're living in Florida, you got gators. If you're living in Australia, you got
Everything.
curriches, everything.
Everything trying to
Like,
kill you.
I would rather have a Canadian goose peck my leg.
Respect, yeah,
rather have it
I
gnaw
agree.
off my limb than I would deal with drain
What I'm
flies through the
picturing in
You
weird.
my
want to
head right now
lose
is
an
ridiculous.
appendage?
I'm saying there's worse things. Like I was thinking about this the other day randomly. Tarantulas inside shoes. That's terrifying.
Yeah, going to
Oh,
Australia
why would
soon.
you say
Not
that?
excited.
Yeah.
Way to end this on a high note, man.
Last thing I want to say, if you're going to the Jays game tonight, they are doing different security there. You will have to go through a metal detector. It won't pick up anything like coins or anything like that, but if you have a large electronic cell phone, you might have to take that out. So go 20 or half an hour early.
Are they clear
So you
bags
can
yet,
get
like the NFL?
I don't know. They'll look at bags, but it's more this like new metal detector thing. They
Okay.
just don't want
Yeah.
it to slow down everyone.
No,
So
that's
go
good.
half an hour early.
I'm glad that you brought that up because tonight is the Jays home opener. That's why I have my jersey on. I'm not going
Josh
to
Johnson
not going to
jersey?
get Yeah. Josh Johnson, guess how much I paid for this?
$20.
$60.
$7.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
at SportCheck.
Yeah.
It was on like a 60% off rack plus an extra 30 for something plus somebody I know may or may not have a SportCheck discount. So
Yeah.
it combined those three things and they were like, and your total is $7.42. And I was like, here's a 10, keep the change.
You were like,
Thank
"Here's
you.
a gift card,
Thank you for the
thanks."
stitched Blue Jays jersey and for the guy who got shipped up here from the Marlins and then sucked. There's also a guy,
Josh.
there's also a guy who plays Brock basketball named Josh Johnson. Yep.
Oh,
yeah, he's a backup guard coming off
And
the
with
bench.
that-
Quality minutes. That is your OUA roundup.
Oh,
that's how you tie it all
segue
together.
now.
Yes. Tweet of the week wanted to play real quick as well. Last thing that we're doing on the show today, and then we will get out of here. Narinder is not coming in today. If you are listening, waiting for Sertal Radio, he is coming. We're going to put an extra old episode on for him. So here's a favorite of Scott Hasty. Tweet of the week. I was too lazy to make my own tweet of the week sound, so I just pulled Lee Ellis's, which your brother got a shout out from Lee Ellis at the Starters yesterday.
Oh, did he?
That was great, yeah, on Twitter.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, tweet of the week brought to you by Stevenson Bone, quarterback, backup right now, working around at Western, said, there's a Masters champion younger than me. Time flies. That's a weird moment when you realize that there is a champion at a major sporting
all
level.
you're thinking is,
old.
what have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you look at it and see like, hey, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, happy 22nd birthday over the weekend for the Edmonton Oilers, I'm like, I'm 23.
That's what I was thinking
That
too.
guy's got it made.
When Russell Wilson has already had a divorce and won.
And playing for the Texas Rangers in the preseason. I saw a headline from him yesterday. He wants to play 2 sports. He's not like, oh, it'd be cool. He's like, I can do it. It's not
his
that
wife
hard.
left him, so he's got lots of time.
He's
He's dating an
lots of
Instagram star now.
Is he?
Yeah, it's not.
And now she got more famous.
Yeah, it's not a good situation though. And my last tweet of the week shared between Stevenson Bone and Sarah Karimi here from McMaster at Libero Sayar. He actually took over our OUA Today Twitter account during the CIS Volleyball Championships. He said, practice and lifts every day to prepare for the next season. It's only April, so excited for September. #Nationals at home. Because McMaster is hosting the CIS Volleyball Championship next year. Thank you everybody for listening. We appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the podcast. We'll be sending that out as soon as we possibly can.
Austin will be sending you your homework.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining
Austin,
me.
thank you for joining the show. That was great to have him on. Really cool perspective. The guy that played in the league and is that interested in researching the growth and development of the league. I'm just here to cover it. He's actually doing the real work. Talk is easy.
Fair enough.
Talk is cheap. Thank you for listening, everybody. At OUA Today, at Marsh 2 Ferks, at Weldon Amanda, at Scott 1 Hasty. Back next Monday. Next Monday, we're going to be having, planning on an award show. We're going to have the Golden Glow UAs. We're going to give it all the awards because it is award season, so make sure to tune in next week for, we'll see if we get the copyrights to that. My video pick of the week this week, it's kind of random, has nothing to do with OUA or CIS sports. It's the trailer to Sonic's Gate, which is one of my favorite documentaries. I was watching the Oklahoma City Thunder game last night, and there was so many ads for different businesses in Oklahoma City. I'm sure it's a great town, but the people of Seattle badly need basketball, and I would love to see them have it. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll leave you with Sonic's Gate on the video podcast side. Everybody else, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
The ultimate goal has been and continues to be to preserve the future of professional basketball here in the Northwest region, and to do it in a way that I think reaffirms our commitment to our fans.
Learn how the Sonics were stolen from Seattle, a city held hostage.
I think the NBA has to make an example of a couple of teams every now and then.
It is a national issue fought locally.
Greed.
To me, if it is a public trust, he violated that public trust.
He tried to run a basketball team like his coffee business.
Lies.
We have great respect for history.
Betrayal.
There aren't many teams that have been in one place for 4 decades.
At the end, it was about money.
Heartbreak.
It was like fighting against a hurricane. You have hope the hurricane's not going to blow your house down. But good luck with that.
The true story behind the hottest young team in the NBA.
Their whole game plan was to get out of town and create as much ill will in the process as they could.
There are a lot of villains in this story.
No more Sonics makes no sense at all to me.
Save our Sonics! Save our Sonics! Save our Sonics!
Sonics Gate, Requiem for a Team.